Today on Top Gear Rearview, not really anything funny at the beginning here, but this is the Hilux one, so go watch it.
Hello and welcome to Top Gear Rearview. I'm Jeff, that's Brady. Tonight we're looking back at new Top Gear, Series 3, Episode 5.
This classic Top Gear episode aired on the 23rd of November in 2003, and the star in a reasonably priced car was Simon Cowell.
And we got a hodgepodge of segments tonight. We're starting out with the Mazda RX-8, moving into some potential future classics by Richard. We test wigs and their speed durability for some friendly consumer advice, I suppose. James talks about the Fiat Panda, which he comes to love later. And we end things out with just the best segment of them all. Durability testing of a 1,000-pound Toyota Hilux.
This is a fantastic episode, Jeff.
It really is. You know, I remember the Hilux, but honestly, the rest of the episode's pretty solid.
It's really good. We talked about it at the end of last episode, which was a Lamborghini tribute, which was a good episode, Season 3, Episode 4. But this is just, it is wig testing aside, this is okay. This is a great episode. They have, a hot lap and a reasonably, hot car. Some pretty fun things in the news. Future classic segment. Okay, that's some fun stuff. The wig thing. A car guy as their star in a reasonably priced car. That's always good when you have someone who's also a car guy. A cheap car review by James May, which is just classic. And then, obviously, the Toyota Hilux that they try to destroy. The segment of segments. Yeah. Is amazing and really kicks off. I don't know. It kind of marks the beginning of really fun Top Gear, I think.
This is one of the early challenges. That's like, that car is still in the studio for years and years to come. So
I think till the end. I believe so. It's up there right next to Oliver.
You know, I've been watching the Chris Evans Top Gear in the shop recently, and I have not. It's usually listening. I haven't paid attention. I'm wondering if it's still in the studio because it's classic. Probably not, but
I don't know.
Anyway, we got to start things off at the top with the Mazda RX-8, which is just an interesting car. And I recall not liking it too much, when it was coming out. But the more I've been looking at them recently, and like this segment specifically, it's kind of growing on me.
I find it the opposite. That's interesting. I remember when it came out, I was all sorts amped up about it. I really liked it. It was another Wankel. Another long line, but it was a more affordable, more available, more achievable for people. The RX-7 was always this kind of like Supra-esque car where not every jabroni is going to drive around in a Supra or an RX-7, but RX-8, I mean, what they said it was 22,000 pounds.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, you should see them now. I just Craigslisted it for fun. Oh wow, decent looking one, $3,500 or $3,500.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as we've said before, when we first talked about the Wankel engines, I don't remember when it was, a couple seasons ago, they have a shelf life on them.
We will get to that in a minute. I got some fun ones for that.
Yeah, but, so I think it's like buying a 12-year-old Prius. It's like, all right, well, yeah, but you got $5,000, $8,000 worth of work to do right away. So. Yeah,
or like a 911, a 996 generation that hasn't had the IMS bearing touched yet.
Exactly.
It's a ticking time bomb of sorts. So anyway, to start things off, Clarkson loves this car.
Man, there was one segment, and we'll cut it in right now, but he just rattles off all the good things he likes about it. And then at the very end of it, he says, and then we talk about the good stuff. It was crazy how fast he rattled them off. He was just like,
on the upside, though, it's got a great engine, it makes a great noise, it goes like stink, it's very comfortable, it's practical, it's well priced, and it's well equipped. And then there's the really good stuff.
He loved everything about it. He really did. He was completely sold, which is one thing I am not any longer on. Completely sold on this hybrid coupe. Watching this show too long. Hybrid Cooper sedan, like, yes, it has the styling of a two-door coupe, but you could open up these suicide doors, and then you've got the functionality of a four-door saloon car. And I'm like, yeah, but not really.
I don't know. So I'm reading a review, and I'm going to post a link to this one because I agree. Like looking at it, you're like, no, it's way too small. The author of this review is 6'3", and he says he has a 3 and a 5-year-old that fit comfortably in the back in car seats, which is kind of my new test.
Yeah, they might fit, but oh my god, how hard would it be to get them in there? And I have.
It says not that bad.
Contrary to I've ridden in this car. Okay. My buddy's dad had one, and it was egregious for anybody of any size to sit in the front or the back because of how small it was. So I completely disagree. This guy must be very agile, I guess we'll say.
Could be.
Or his wife is really short.
Yeah.
Or husband.
True. You do you, buddy. Some of the figures in this car are interesting because it is a 1.3 liter, and I was like, oh, it's a turbo. Nope, that's naturally aspirated, putting out 228 horsepower, which is crazy specific horsepower.
That's a lot of horsepower for natural aspiration.
Yeah, that is a ton. So that's impressive. They had a couple different versions, I think, at the get-go, and I think they kind of limited the automatic to lower power, but they just did away with that, and they said you can have all the power.
Yeah.
Clarkson said it's easy to drive fast. It has a 9,500 RPM redline.
Well, I mean,
which is
I think almost all these things we're talking about now are all Wankel.
It's not reciprocating. It's just spinning.
Symptoms is not the right word, but features.
Yeah, it's it's got a lot of good things in the plus mark, which is why I totally see it's him liking that now. What is this? We're about 15 years on from this one. There's some, interesting things that have come to light. This particular one, Mazda actually had to extend the warranty because they failed the engine quite a bit. So they took the engine warranty to 8 years or 100,000 miles, and they actually ended up building a facility in the U.S. to handle all the rebuilds.
Oh my god, they had to build a facility?
So many. Yeah. It's got a lot of stuff that seems to be just kind of designed right at the margins. Like it has particularly weak coil packs, and they only last about 30,000 miles. And those also kind of what happens then is you don't get good combustion because you don't get a good spark. And that'll cause a clogged up catalytic converter. It can cause basically flooding the engine if you don't have like a specific shutdown sequence, and then they're so weak they can't actually like get you spark to clear it out. So you have to take it to a dealer to deflood it. Yeah. And it can cause carbon buildup too, which then will kill your apex seals, and then boom, engine rebuild.
Yeah. So that's not great.
Yeah, and apparently the one that I liked on this list that's in this article was the stock clutch pedal is kind of weak, and it'll bend over time to the point that you can't disengage the clutch anymore.
Because it hits the stop.
Yeah, it's just like it just mushes out of the way, so you got to get a new clutch pedal.
Man, someone just went a little too far with their value engineering there. Like, I could save us $700,000 by cutting this down a little bit. Is it gonna break? Probably not.
Yeah,
probably not.
Definitely. It's interesting. I mean, they even if you look at the article on Wikipedia, they go through some of the problems because they are numerous. So it's really the first gen, the 2004 to the 2008, which coincidentally, when I was looking to see if they had any, because everybody says the later ones are better, they're a lot harder to find too, apparently, because people like them.
And they don't work all the time.
They don't break. 11 special editions of this car, which is too many.
Yeah, it's almost like an Italian sports car.
They got cool names though, like Shinka and Evolve and Nemesis and Kuro and Spirit R.
Spirit R. There's one called the NRA.
There is.
Topical. I'm going to temper my statements previously about the car seats in the back. I currently have a 9-month-old now, and he's still in the rear-facing seat.
Oh God,
that would be impossible.
Yeah,
with this setup.
This has the freestyle doors. That was the official name for it. And just funny aside, we had Honda Element, which has very similar doors, given it's a little bigger on the inside. But those rear-facing car seats that are not removable, the ones that like you put in the car, yeah, that was we had the kids in that for a while, and it was basically like kind of climb back there and just sort of drop them into it because there's no good way to get a kid in there.
No, it looked really bad, and maybe a front facing is probably pretty similar to any other car then.
Yeah, and especially once you get to booster seats, it's like you can fit kids in 911 back seats when they're in booster seats. They're tiny.
Yeah, because they could just put their feet on the seat.
Yeah, just cross your legs. Crisscross applesauce. Please don't die.
So this was the hot lap of the episode, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more of a budget hot lap compared to last episode, but that's not too bad. I am not prepared, so give me that.
All right. We kind of had a dual power lap. They have not put the 350Z around the track yet to this point, right?
No.
Power lap.
No.
So actually, they sneak that in here too.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess there's two.
We got a pair. Yeah, as a competitor to this car, which is I think it's pretty apt. That one is a true coupe, whereas this one does have 4 doors, but two of the doors are weird. It's more like 3 doors with one of the doors.
I find
split in
these to
half.
be extremely good competitors of each other.
I would call it, yeah. The Z does come at a 2,000-pound premium. The RX-8 is 22,000 pounds. The 350Z is 24. And they are kind of, in the engine department, they're kind of unique. Like, as we said, the 1.3-liter NA Renesis motor in the RX-8 is just weird. And then you get to, like, the Z is a 3.5-liter V6. It's almost 3 times the displacement.
Yeah. Well, and as you will see right now, it doesn't do much. They have the exact same lap time.
Yes, which also coincidentally is the exact same lap time as our benchmark, the E46 M3.
That's right. So 131.8, kind of the benchmark time, which is very good to say for these considerably cheaper vehicles.
Oh yeah.
They were both in the dry, so that gives them that 0 seconds off for wet. So Jeff, what are your desirability? We'll go with you first this time. Give me the RX-8 and then the 350Z.
Ooh, for the RX-8, they're both they've shifted recently, one up, one down. I think the RX-8 I'm going to give a 4.
Okay.
Because I just don't like cars that don't have durable engines, but I still kind of want one.
Okay.
And the 350Z, which I know that engine that one is bulletproof, but I never loved the styling on it. And
that Renault engine?
Yeah, that Renault. That's totally not at all a Renault engine.
Yep.
Well, it might be a Renault engine, but it was a Renault engine from Nissan. I'm gonna give that one a 4 as well.
Oh, I thought these were going to be different because you said that one's going up and one's going down. Which one went up? You like the RX-8 more?
I think I'm lying, actually. I think the RX-8s, I don't know. That's probably pretty static at a 4. The Z actually probably went up a little bit because now that they're getting affordable, I do hear they're a fun car to hoon around on. And like I said, that's a durable motor. That'd be a fun one to have, and you're probably not going to pop it, like drifting the thing around.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So,
well,
what you got?
We're relatively similar. I liked the RX-8 when it came out. It's gotten worse over time for me. But I think a 4 is a pretty reasonable score for that one. And just because I think I like the 350Z just a little bit better, I'm going to go one more on that one. So I'm going to go 5.
Fair enough.
So I think 4 is a good score for the RX-8. It looks like a fun enough car to drive, but it's kind of similar to like a BRZ or something like that. It's like, yeah, that'd be fun to drive, but everything else about it, reliability, practicality, it's not that great.
Not so much.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be quick and fun. So these are relatively ho-hum scores from us for a relatively quick and cheap car, but doesn't help it out too much. The RX-8 is 25th in our power rankings, and the 350Z is 23rd in our power rankings. So I guess that's the difference between 1 point will do you. The RX-8 is a 99.7, and the 350Z is 100.5. And essentially we're saying above 100, we like it. Below 100, it's not doing that great. These are both towing that line extremely close. Let's go ahead and see what they rank near.
Interestingly, real quick, the RX-8 appears to be retested in Series 9, and it goes a little slower. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
Just barely. 132 dead.
Very much slower. So the 350Z is just behind the Volkswagen Garf. The 350Z is just behind the Volkswagen Golf R32, just ahead of the Vauxhall VX220, which was that Spider-esque sports car.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Mazda is just behind that same Vauxhall and ahead of the Aston Martin V12 Vanquish.
Ooh, all right.
Which we both really liked.
It would not fast or cheap.
It is 5. No, I guess it was very wet. It is just barely faster, but not cheap at all.
Yeah, no.
So those are the Top Gear power rankings. If you're new to the podcast, the guys on Top Gear have their big power lap list where they just do everything on time. Jeff and I wanted to do something a little more well-rounded or set in reality because as the show goes on, the speeds get faster, but the price tags go higher and higher and higher. And so we've put together our power rankings, which take into account lap time, vehicle cost, and a subjective rating system by us, if we like it or not. So, and then we factor those things in together to get our final rating. For example, we have tested a Koenigsegg, we have tested a Zonda, but number one on our power rankings is a Porsche GT3 because it was relatively cheap at 72,000 pounds and extremely fast, and we both really liked it.
Yeah.
Bottom of the list, Overfinch Range Rover, which was expensive, slow, and we both hated it. And so we post these to our Facebook page, so go over there, facebook.com/Top Gear Rearview to check those out. We usually post either just the top 10 if it falls into the top 10, like the Lamborghini Gallardo did last week, or the places where these things fell, so you can see what they're around and how they match up.
Brady, are you a petrosexual?
I liked how he said that. I suppose that was as outwardly homophobic as the show can be sometimes. I believe that was a compliment. That was him saying petrolhead, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So once again, the boys make the argument that if you've never owned an Alfa Romeo, you are not a petrolhead or a petrosexual, as they say.
Yep. I don't think you are, and I'm not.
Nope. I've never owned an Alfa.
Rap, rap.
Spy New Chrysler.
Yeah.
One little segment in here that I like to say, or I like to bring up, is they start talking about the way Jeremy said it just struck me as odd because of the day and age that we live in with Tesla. He says, these companies are trying to develop...
Everybody really has been trying to develop an electric car, one that runs on batteries.
Like this far-flung future world where you're going to have electric cars. But once again, the guys on Top Gear talk about the hydrogen fuel cell.
Yeah, they really bank on that for a few different times.
Well, they talked about it. There was the GM Highwire,
Mm-hmm.
In which I'm pretty sure James May said, "Look at this car. This is Genesis of the future."
Yeah, and he drives at one point soon a Honda as well that is a hydrogen fuel cell.
And they say the exact same thing. Well, they said it in this news segment. They said that these hydrogen fuel cell, they're always calling them the Genesis of the future, and they really, I don't know how far in the future they're looking, but right now they couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah, it's 100% electric right now.
Yeah, but they make the argument, and I think it's an unfounded argument that when you have an electric car that's powered by batteries and you have to charge it from the mains or just from the power grid, that it's essentially the same thing as using a gas engine because you're using a fossil fuel based power station to produce the energy for your car. I don't think they really get the efficiency gains that you get from that, as well as it's a lot easier to make a power station clean than it is to make a car clean.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to drive around or weigh less than a power plant.
Yes.
I just like to bring that up about how they're always calling these hydrogen fuel cells Genesis, and they just aren't.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years in the future when we finally finish this podcast,
they'll have the last laugh.
There'll actually be hydrogen fuel stations around the country. I doubt it, though.
You can get compressed natural gas here, but no hydrogen. One more thing I wanted to bring up. They were talking about speed cameras. They had a few maps and charts showing, that generally the area of highest incident, it had no speed cameras, and that despite fines going up and since speed cameras have come around, deaths haven't really changed visibly. And my takeaway from that was these guys make charts like a middle school science fair kid.
Jeff, because of the unique way that BBC is funded,
they can only afford construction paper.
I think Jeremy even said I don't know what episode
He said that. I think it was in this one.
He says, because of the unique way that the BBC is funded, and then he pauses and he goes, which is badly.
Yeah. He does.
Badly
I recall
funded.
that. I do not remember if it was here or not, but yeah, I saw that and I was like, yeah, that's right.
I think it might have been with talking about with Simon Cowell.
I think it might have been. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the joke, right? Going forward is whenever they have like a competition, they actually have to write the numbers on a board and like do the math in their head. This is
no
the start
fancy
of
graphics for them.
Yeah, this is the start of it.
Yeah. Oof, they're bad. So moving on to some future classics. I was excited to see what they said because obviously, like at this point, we are in the future.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I wish I was a little more plugged into the secondhand market in Europe/UK to verify this. But yeah, I would think that if they were correct, that these cars would now be
worth something.
Valuable. God, I cannot think of that word.
Yes. Yeah. The spoiler alert: the Corrado really hasn't done anything.
Yeah, there's a VW Corrado in the regular car reviews website or YouTube channel. If you guys want to check that one out, I think the Corrado, and I guess maybe its spiritual predecessor or successor, the Scirocco.
That'd be predecessor too. There's the Scirocco before the Corrado.
Yeah, I think they're similar. I don't know if they were produced at the same time, but they're similar styles. They're two-door, and they're kind of a little sportier, a little more aggressive body styles.
It's like a shooting brake, really.
Yeah, but yeah.
But yeah, I like the Corrado. I always liked the way that car looked.
Yeah, I think it's a good-looking car. I think a similar aged Jetta or Passat don't look that good, but they got it right with the Corrado.
Definitely. If I am thinking of the right one, I think you can get that one with a super weird engine in it. I know. Basically, it's the 1.8 liter, the 1.8T. I assume this is the predecessor to the 1.8T that will be around for a while. But it is a supercharged version versus the turbocharged version. 158 horsepower, nothing crazy, but it is unique, and I think it's very modifiable. From what I recall, we have a buddy who he's always waxing eloquent about the G60. Background noise for me, but it was a unique one. I think it was kind of a unique configuration of a supercharger to be really offered. I mean, you have kind of your standard ones, your roots blower, and then this one is a little different.
Yeah, and I mean, I think honestly, when it comes to these future classics, it's things like that really do build the value.
Yeah.
Maybe in specific versions of it. So I don't think they were far off. I think it comes down to what they said the three criteria for a classic car are.
That's right, we've thought of some rules about this. To qualify as a future classic, any car, we're talking about stuff from the 90s, has to be one of these things. Rare, beautiful, or interesting.
Yeah.
And so I think you tick enough of those boxes, maybe like a mint G60 Corrado is probably pretty rare and probably pretty good looking and probably pretty interesting because it's got this weird thing going on. I think it ticks all the boxes. I'm not sure if it actually has increased in value. I don't think a VW is something that's going to become extremely sought after, at least for a long time.
Yeah.
But they do talk about another car, which is the beginning of a long joke.
Yeah.
Which culminates many seasons later.
In fact, in his day, Martin Brundle said this had one of the best handling saloon car chassis anywhere in the world. And he knows what he's talking about.
And if you're a Top Gear fan, you'll recognize it. But they talk about the Mercedes 190e 2.5 16 Cosworth.
Such a mouthful.
It is a sporty, I guess, similar ilk to like a comparison to an M3 Mercedes from, I guess, the mid 80s, early 90s?
Late 80s, early 90s, yeah.
Yep. Which, I don't know if this necessarily checks the good-looking car, but I'm sure it probably was rare just by all the numbers after it. You're not going to make too many of them.
Yeah, I think this is a good-looking car. Something about it for me, like the proportions are right. It's got the big wing. I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm a fan. They're pretty expensive. But If I'm not mistaken, this one has a dog box gearbox, right? The dog leg first.
Well, the one that the joke is paid off in does. So
Yep.
this one might also.
Martin Brundle once called this one of the best handling saloon chassis he's ever driven.
So, and I don't remember the episode, and I don't plan on watching it until we get to it many, many seasons later. But was this not the car that James May picked up?
I am 90% sure this is the car.
Or did he pick up another car thinking it was this one?
I don't think so. I really do think it was this car, but and I think that's why it sticks in his mind, like that this is where it came from. But yeah, it is a long run joke that if I remember right, they actually kind of call him up and he says, "Oh no, I don't. It was okay."
I would never say that about that car. No.
Yeah.
I think if I was going to say about a car, I'd say it about an M3.
An E30 M3.
You know what? With the body kit and the spoilers and stuff, you know what? It is a pretty good looking car. I'll give you that.
It's unique. I mean, it's boxy, but it definitely has the same kind of panache as like an E30 M3.
Mm-hmm. 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 Man, some people have kept some nice versions of this around. There are some really nice looking ones. I bet those fetch a pretty penny just because they're nice.
Yeah. There's one that was recently at auction, and I think it went for like $250,000.
Whoa! What?
Yeah, it's 202,000 pounds.
What?
Yeah, it only had 885 miles on it.
Oh wow! Okay,
that was
885 miles were driven by
I don't know,
Charles de Gaulle,
Amelia Earhart. It was this was an Evo 2, which I believe is a little more hotted up, but yeah, it's crazy. I think those do have the dog leg first, which is a crazy little gearbox.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, E30 M3s go that one low mile, like that one like 37,000 or something. It went for like 120 grand. So people got too much money, Brady.
Yeah. You got any money?
Yeah. This leads us into the classic wall, which is a new thing, and I don't recall ever seeing it again, but it's there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and
that's where
they don't really use it appropriately. Sorry. That's completely incorrect. They do use it appropriately because they essentially use it to make fun of Jeremy.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of it.
Yeah. Basically, he has no idea how to time a car, how to time purchase and sale.
He can pick out the winners, but he buys high and sells low.
Yeah, which, attaboy.
He's just helping out everyone else.
They did have, I think James's contribution was the Lexus LS 400, which is funny. I mean, that is by no means any of the criteria, but this is the one that Matt Farah of the Smoking Tire is currently on his way to 1 million miles in. So it's a cool car. That one's interesting. I don't know if any other ones are.
That
particular exact car is interesting. Nothing else is that interesting about it. It had a little V8. It's the 1UZ. It's a good engine, but
oh man, yeah. I've seen some swaps of the 1UZ into Land Cruisers.
Oh yeah. And then they mentioned the CSL too. CSL I think is definitely on that classics list.
Oh yes, but that one's been on it for a while.
As it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. What Jeff? This is gonna be an extremely hard question. We're 20 years in the future from this, or almost 20, about 15, 16 years in the future from this episode. What would you put into a future classic for something in between now and then?
In between now and then,
you've got a much keener sense of this because you peruse Bring a Trailer daily. I do not. I'm asking this question hoping that you'll forget to ask me.
I'm late on the Ford GT because those are already on the way up. The early 2000s version. That's not a secret at all.
We talked about the M2 or the 1Ms. Yeah,
1Ms. That was immediately a future classic.
Yeah.
I think you might some of the late model SN95. This would still actually probably be before these, but like the Cobra R Mustang. I think that one might pick up at some point.
Really?
Yeah, I think those have a chance. Trying to think if there's anything else American. There was maybe some of the Vipers. Since the Viper is officially gone, I think that's one that's going to start heading up.
Yeah, those always had, I guess, maybe not classic car status, like you buy them because they are this collector's item, but they were always just like, hey, America made a pretty cool car finally. It's not like a LeSabre.
Yeah.
And everyone loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that has a chance. I think maybe some of the early gen ones too, because those, I think a lot of them have been
those are the ones that
beaten
everyone
up.
likes.
Oh yeah, the side pipes and just no sense about them at all, but just amazing. I'm trying to think if there's anything, because like the Corrado's, like that's a cheaper car. It was expensive when it came out, but yeah, nothing's coming to mind. Evo, I think the Mitsubishi Evo will rise because since that's now discontinued. I think that'll go up.
That is a very good call. That's a probably what I would call a reasonably priced car as well.
Yeah,
I mean it's a little on the higher side, but I think the Corrado was a relatively expensive one.
It was. That's why it didn't sell well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's a good call. The Evo,
yeah.
I think the Evo is correct. Probably like the Evo 7. Yeah.
Yeah, Evo 7 and 9. I think those three, because they look fairly similar. The 10 is its own thing. I think the 10 has a chance too, but that was when that body style stuck around for a while. So I think somewhere between probably 8 or 9 is where I'd see some money sticking around.
You know, I bet probably some really nice looking. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. Some really nice looking early turbo Saabs. Those probably do pretty good.
Yeah, maybe some of the unique ones, the Vegans and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's my contribution to the list.
Fair enough. Well, you know what is not remotely classic is wigs, I guess.
Hey, let's do some toupee jokes.
Yeah. What was the guy's name? Was it Barry? Bobby? Billy? Something. I think it was Barry.
Let's go with Barry.
Let's go with Barry. That dude had a poker face, and
he did. He kept it
all
together.
the respect. Like he once or
kept it
twice,
together.
as the wig flew off, he smiled, and otherwise he was just stone face. So that guy, I was very impressed with him. This was a challenge, sort of.
What was the point of this?
I don't know. I think it was really to show off that a wind deflector works. That's all I got.
Consumer advice right there.
If you have a convertible, buy a wind deflector.
Okay. All right. So they tested 3. Should we even talk? So this is our road test of 3 toupees.
Yeah, of varying quality and price from 60 to 250 pounds and of varying human hair content.
And of varying holding power, it turns out. Because in the same TVR that they drove around in, they flew off at at different speeds with surprisingly, I think to most people, the cheapest one holding on the best.
Yeah, it was totally inverted. The expensive one flew off at 68 miles an hour, where the cheap one held on to 110.
What I have to say is the more expensive ones kind of sat atop his head, where the cheapest one was almost like a helmet that's made to look like hair.
Yeah, it just kind of wrapped around. Yeah,
it was like the Flight of the Conchords, where Brett said,
I was going to be working on my secret project.
Your helmet that looks like you're here.
Yes.
I saw that and I'm like, that looks like hair. It's a helmet that looks like hair. And so that's probably why it had just more surface contact.
Yeah, I would buy that. Yeah, they definitely fit more as like a wraparound than a sit atop.
It was like a winter hat.
Yeah, they finished it out by saying basically like, look, wind deflectors work. We'll take you out with any of these. I think it was the expensive one in the in some variant of a Mercedes drop top with the wind deflector. And yeah, it was like up to 150 and it was staying in place. And that was the end of the segment. Good on you, Barry.
Thus endeth the segment. We both know Simon Cowell, Jeff, but this was an interesting star in a reasonably priced car interview.
I think he was the first one to get booed.
Well, they booed him hard, but I imagine the character he has to build, the personality he has to portray on the internet, on television to get booed as a Top Gear guest, as anybody's guest. That's brutal.
I know. I think there was a politician that got booed sometime in the near future, but that's about all I can recall.
Well, politician getting booed makes sense.
It does.
People hate him.
Yeah.
And apparently, Simon Cowell.
I'm not a fan personally, but okay.
I think it's just a big ruse. I mean, it's like the weakest link lady.
Yeah. Just
She was
just
a
facade.
She was a real ball ache in her show, and he is on his. Being said,
he kind of is on this one too.
He's super snooty. Yeah. Well, I think as soon as they boot him, he was like, all right, well, I got to hold this character up.
Game on, bro.
I can't come in here and just be normal. I have to. I guess I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. He could be a real cock. I'm not sure.
Yeah, who knows? Clarkson asked him to insult cars, which was okay. All right.
I kind of zoned out during that. Like,
dude, PT Cruiser, he called it a hearse. I was like, yeah, I'll give you that. And then Fiat Multipla, that was kind of like, that's an easy one. Deformed. Yep, it's deformed. It looks like it has a tumor. And then the BMW 745i, they brought back the most bewildering slang, the septic thing that I still don't fully understand, but okay.
It's a Cockney rhyming scheme. Septic tank rhymes with yank.
I mean,
also he likes calling us garbage.
So does Scuba Tank. So does Fish Tank. I mean, you're taking the second half and then using the first. It's weird.
They talk a bit about his cars. They kind of focus heavily on one, but once again, Jeremy gets all giddy and uppity about the DB7 we just don't know why.
Yep.
He likes that car so much. Do people other than us really like the way that car looks, Jeff? Are we the ones that are wrong, or is it everybody else?
No, it can't be. It can't be us. It's everybody else.
It can't be. It's not a good-looking car.
It really isn't.
I don't understand.
It's so googly-eyed.
I wonder if I've got this bias because I really only started learning about Aston Martins. They're either the DB5 or like a Vantage or something like that.
The one that really caught my attention was the DBS, and that's when I was like, okay, I'll pay more attention. And then like that, the DBS next to a DB7 is just like, it's no comparison.
No. They call it like one of the best looking cars ever. It's like,
no, top 3, no.
And you know what? Simon Cowell agreed with him.
Mm-hmm.
And Simon Cowell knows his expensive cars.
Yes, he obviously does.
Yeah. So they talk about that car, and then they talk about the car that he's just ordered, which is the big, luxurious Maybach.
Yep.
And him and Jeremy get into an argument about the Maybach or the Rolls Royce, the new Phantom.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would you have, Jeff?
I'd go Maybach.
If you had Simon Cowell money?
I'd go Maybach.
What is your reasoning for that?
They're all... Well, no, I guess Rolls Royce is now Audi. So I don't know. It's just I think it's. I have seen one up close. I have seen inside, and it just seems so nice. And Rolls, I agree, is a little more ostentatious. The Maybach's a little more subdued, and it looks so comfy.
I agree that I think they make fun of him for saying that the Maybach is discreet, but it is. It looks like a Mercedes,
long ass Mercedes.
You have to take a second glance or a harder look. I mean, not a real hard look, but a harder look to go. Is that? No, it's a Mercedes. What?
Yeah.
Is that? But what? Which
I think
big.
A non-car person would be way more likely to be like Rolls Royce than like Maybach. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just another Mercedes.
Yeah.
But Jeff, all of the weird car put downs and disses aside.
Wait, one more. He called Jeremy a human Maybach, and I totally love that one.
It's true.
It's totally true.
It's about the personality on what's on
not
the inside,
the appearance.
Jeremy, not the appearance. Simon Cowell looked smug up there, as Simon Cowell usually does.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out, Jeff, for extremely good reason.
Dude can drive.
He booked it around that track. You know, one thing I noticed from his lap is he was pushing those tires to their nth degree.
Oh yeah, it was a bunch of.
It was that car was held up by those tires. He pushed that as hard as he could.
Yeah,
and his time showed. He did a 147.1, so like a low 147, which is at least a second, if not a second and a half, faster than anyone else.
Oh yeah, I think because Jody Kidd had beaten JK by about 0.3 of a second, and I want to say she was low 148. So yeah, he's got more than a second on anybody.
Yeah,
it's crazy fast.
Yeah, and I think maybe better quality tires, or slightly larger width or something like that, and he's got probably another half second. Out of it. He's got a lot more time left in that lap. It was an amazing lap, and you could tell it was fast. usually when you hear that amount of tire squealing, people are pushing it too hard.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't oversteering. He wasn't.
Yeah.
You were not really oversteering the reasonably priced car, but he wasn't understeering. He was just scrubbing
Right at the edge.
He was right at the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Good lap.
Yep. Attaboy, Mr. Cowell.
Let's talk about now, Jeff, the quintessential James May review. Literally, the review made for James May.
Yeah. Yeah. This is his car.
I think it was his actual car, or did he buy one after that?
I think he bought one afterwards. And up until the Dacia Sandero, this is the James May car.
I mean, it technically still is after the Dacia Sandero.
True.
I get where you're going.
He owns the car, but yeah, this is the Fiat Panda. Which I think this would be my car too. I like this car.
Yeah, he talks about what Italians have given the world, the Roman Emperor of the Roman Empire, and small cars. He said there's some other stuff.
Yeah,
whatever.
Renaissance and electricity. Yeah, that was funny. They invented electricity. I was like, no, they didn't. They found electricity.
We invented weather.
Exactly.
What did you invent today? I invented
gravity.
Dirt in a cup. Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
All right.
Let's take a break. James, I mean, I guess they probably, not to put down their invention or popularization, maybe we'll say, of small cars. I kind of am surprised he's saying that. I guess I would assume that they would probably rest those laurels on the Mini.
Yeah, I would agree.
But the Fiat 500, original Fiat 500, I guess, was probably before the Mini.
I gotta check. It was real close.
I think it came out before it.
You think so?
But that's really kicked it off, is this small, everyman, egalitarian type of car.
Yeah.
Which the Panda fits right into.
It definitely does. I think it was originally not supposed to be a Panda because the Panda had been shut down a few years earlier due to safety regulations. But then they were like, it's close enough. They'll call it a Panda. And it sold really well. Yeah,
they were going to call it the Gingo, Gingo. Which one of those is a hard and which one of those is a soft?
Yeah.
Jingo? Ginjo?
Ginjo. I like Ginjo.
They said it was too similar to the Renault Twingo, so maybe it was Jingo. So they decided to continue with the Panda name. But I'm looking here. The sales numbers on this.
Oh, they're astonishing. Like 500,000 in the first little bit there.
Yeah, this version that he tested came out in May 2003. By October 5th, 2005, they sold 500,000. 6 years later, they sold 2 million of these. And continued going for another year.
Yeah, crazy. Pretty garbage safety scores. My favorite part of this whole article was the models. Let's just go through them real quick. We start off with the natural power, which is either gas or CNG, natural gas. We got the actual. it's an actual Fiat Panda. Yeah, that was kind of the basic. The active, which was I think the next lineup. The active plus, dynamic, the emotion, and the 100 horsepower.
Don't forget that there was also the 4x4 climbing and the 4x4 cross.
True. The 100 horsepower is my favorite because guess how many horsepower it produces? 99.
Of course it does.
As near as makes no difference. Oh, it makes a difference.
When you're calling it the 100 horsepower, you better get 100 horsepower out of it.
Oh, it's just such a fun little the active. No, excuse me, the actual. That's my favorite one. Like it's actually
the actual. That's nice.
He was in the dynamic, right?
I believe.
Yeah, the 1.2 liter, which is a whopping 6,500 pounds.
Very cheap. Yeah,
yes.
the 1.3 liter was.
Okay, the 1.1 was the base.
Yeah, sorry. The 1.1 was 6,000. You get an extra 0.1 liter for 500 pounds.
Yeah. Seems like a good deal.
James had said that one thing that small Italian cars should be is unpretentious. And then they cut to the Blaupunkt stereo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. unpretentious, and then they cut to the Rolex timepiece in the dashboard.
Yeah.
I found, it was a dynamic. You're correct. I thought it was funny that it had a 0 to 60 time.
Yeah.
Dynamically got 0 to 60 in 14 seconds, which makes it useless.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is that this is a city car, and that's why James bought it, because it's a little small city car that you can drive anywhere.
Yeah. 96 mile an hour top speed, and European car of the year.
Yeah.
God, they have more on here. I keep finding more editions, like the Jolly and the Alessi and the Terramar 4. And the tanker.
Luxury.
Oh, there's so many. The Panda car.
Multi-eco. Simba.
Aria. Yeah. Okay, this is wonderful. There's a lot of different engines they put in this thing. And apparently there was a Chinese copy.
Obviously.
So, anyway, very quintessential James May. And of course, they did not put it on the track.
No. But I think maybe this was the instigation for James to buy this car.
They very well could have been. Maybe they just gave it to him. They were like, yeah, it's going to cost us more to ship it back than it is to just leave it there. Oh. Well, I think that wraps up the episode, right?
Yes, you're right, Jeff. I don't think there's anything else of importance.
No, nothing awesome at the end of this
Let me check the show notes real quick here. There's something in here about the Toyota Hilux, Jeff. We're being facetious. This is one of the best. I would say probably. Let me think. I think probably top 3, maybe my second favorite segment of all of Top Gear.
Yeah.
1, obviously being the Reliant Robin space shuttle.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You launch a car into almost space.
That was a fantastic episode that went way better than expected. And then this is probably number 2. This Hilux trying to kill a Toyota Hilux is emblazoned in my mind as just a quintessential, like, it's so fun. They have so much fun with it.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it.
Oh, it's good. I forgot some of it. I remember the big parts, but yeah, the little intricacies, like just like cruising down the stairs and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I remember they do a lot more with this guy.
I like that they turn the corner, get caught on a rock, back up, don't change your angle or anything, and
knock the rock out
just to get some speed and just knock a rock out of the corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good stuff. So I guess this was kind of technically like a used car review.
Yeah, this is the best used car corner ever.
It is. Eat your heart out, Jason Dahl. But I guess, Jeremy said at the beginning, usually we'll take it around the track and show you how well it handles and its top speed and yada, yada, yada. But how will we do this how are we going to review this? 1,000-pound rusted out old pickup farm truck. And he goes, well, I guess we're just going to have to try to kill it. And then he just kind of drives it into a tree.
Yeah. Did you read the follow-up on that tree drive?
No, what happened?
They got, they didn't get sued, but they got contacted by the Churchill Parish in Somerset, and they were like, hey, you hit our tree and damaged it. And the director said, yeah, sorry about that, and then gave him some money.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they got fined for running into a tree?
They did, apparently, yeah, because I was like, that probably hurt the tree a little bit. I didn't remember that part, just mushing it in, but... yeah, they thought everybody thought it was vandals, and then they saw it on the show, and they were like, "What the hell?"
It was BBC employees.
Yeah. The BBC had to pay a whopping £250 towards a local project.
Well, due to the unique way the BBC is funded, probably hurt them pretty good.
Yeah, that tree lost a section of its bark in the test. Oh, anyway, so that's they bonk it into a tree, and then. There's so many little things. It's right after where they...
All right, they go down the stairs. They clip the corner.
Rock wall.
In Bristol. They run into a tree.
Tree.
They go to the marina and clip another corner.
Yep, just scraping it up.
And then they tie it into the ocean.
Yeah.
Which is probably the biggest one.
6 ropes, if I remember right.
And it's in... what was the name of the sound?
Ooh, I don't remember. It's like the second highest tide change in the country or in the world, I think. Maybe country, one of the two.
It is the Severn Estuary, is what it's called.
Yep.
Regularly experiences tidal ranges of up to 15 meters. He said 40 feet. 15 meters is more than 40 feet.
Mark, 50 feet.
Yeah, but in and out 50 feet every day, which is crazy. And so at low tide, They go out there and tie it into this road, which looks like the road just drives into the ocean. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
It's like got like painted lane lines and everything.
Yeah.
And they tie it down. They strap it down with like what you said, 6 ropes. And then they let the tide come in, and that thing gets battered.
Oh yeah, it blows the windshield out, blows the back window out. It gets toasted, and then it breaks the ropes.
And then it breaks free of its ropes, and then gets buried in the sand. Once the tide goes back out, they pull it out. There's like the inside is full of sand.
Yeah,
like, you see all the silt and stuff.
Like
inside.
half of the engine bay is full of sand, and I remember seeing it the first time. I was like, oh, there you go.
And they have this small little segment that says, you know, here you go. Here's the answer. If you ever wanted to know what it took to kill an old pickup truck, it seems like 5 hours in salt water and sand will do it. And then like 20 minutes later, they cut back and the mechanic gets it running again.
Oh, yeah.
Like with like no parts, no new parts.
No, just like fire. I like the popping the valve cover off too and cycling it to get the water out, where it's just like boop, 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 just little sprays.
Just spraying of water out.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just kind of clean it up a bit and it fires up and he drives it away. So now they didn't know what to do with it, so they took it back to the studio, and they're driving around, and this is another one where they actually called this rickety old shack the Top Gear production office. So another first.
Yep.
Top Gear production office, where they just plow right through it. That was nothing.
Mm-hmm. No, it was like a shed.
That was just a rickety shack. They drop, I will have to cut in the actual name. I like how they tell you the names of the caravans.
Yeah, that's important information, Brady.
They drop the
Mistral GT.
right on top of it. That did nothing either.
That dented one of the bed rails. That was the sum total of the damage. It was nothing.
I don't even think it did that. I think that was probably from the wrecking ball too.
Oh, they
anyway.
say they could have been, but they say later later when they're reviewing the contents of what's left of this truck that this is what it came from, but obviously not enough to do substantial damage.
No, and then they take a wrecking ball to it, which, you know, it looks like they took it a little easy with the wrecking ball.
Just kind of rolling it over the hood, just like bonking the side of it.
Just kind of smashing it over against it a little bit.
Get out of the way.
And then they light it on fire.
Yeah, I had also kind of forgotten about the fire part. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, they lit it on fire.
Yeah.
And they've done trial by water and trial by wrecking ball and trial by caravan. So now they have to do trial by fire.
Yeah.
And then so they get to the very end. They're in the studio right at the end of the episode. And they're in awe of what this thing could take. And then, you know, James and Richard say, well, then you just had to set it on fire and finally kill it. And James says, well, that was quite churlish of you, which is just a great word, churlish. And then they reveal that it is not yet dead.
Unbelievably enough, a production assistant drives it in.
I'm not dead yet. And we will actually see it again next episode.
Amazingly enough.
Is the Toyota Hilux really indestructible part 2, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
It makes me so happy that this segment came up this early.
Yeah.
It goes to show and proves to me how much I love the show.
Yeah, we're only 3 series in. I can't believe I did not remember it being this early.
Yeah, I know. There's been a lot of crap with so far that we've had to slog through, honestly. Mm-hmm. Talking about the show with an honest set of glasses on. A lot of used car corners that we had to watch that we don't care about.
Yep.
But we got to see in the last few episodes a Miura, a Countach, a Gallardo, and the Toyota Hilux of storied fame and history.
Yeah. God, can you imagine being the guy that sold that? Like, you just see it, see the episode a couple weeks later and be like, oh my God, that's my truck.
Let's be fair. It wasn't in great condition.
Oh, no. I think all things considered, he got what he paid for. But
yeah. And so did they. It was a win-win.
Yeah, all around. Well, that about wraps it up for this week. Series 3, episode 5 in the books. If you're enjoying these, we'd love it if you could tell a friend or throw up a review or a rating on our iTunes page. It just helps us keep up there and helps keep spreading the word a little bit.
Yeah, if you would like to contact us, you can reach us either at topgearrearview@gmail.com or where you have a presence on Facebook, facebook.com/topgearrearview. Hit us up there and we'll respond back. You can also check out the Facebook page for our Top Gear Power Rankings that we went over today, as well as anything in the future, so you can see where your favorite cars stack up.
And if you want to keep up with the episodes here, if you want to watch along as we're going through these, they are available on Amazon Prime. I do put a link in each of the show notes to the current series, so you can click through in there, or if you're a Prime member, they're pretty easy to find in there. So that about does it for this week. So on that note, we will see you all back for more Hilux destruction next week.